Oh, hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. And yeah, as you can see, we're still working on this guy here, the Tiger 1 1/35 scale by Tamiya. As you can see by some stuff on my desk here, I've kind of been a little bit busy over the past week, adding more Zimmerit along the sides, chipping it up a little bit to look like it's a bit damaged here. I'll just go ahead and show you on the bigger camera here. Yeah, so got a bunch of Zimmerit along here, chipped up some spots here, and there. I got it on the front plate here, not so much chipping, just where the angle separates. I figured that might be a little realistic looking, maybe. A lot less along this side, because I've got this cable that's going to go along like this, and I didn't want to have the Zimmerit in behind the cable. So yeah, so there's that. The reason why it's not below this line is because we got a fender that goes along here, and as per the instructions, they don't want you adding Zimmerit below that. Is it realistic? I don't know. I really don't know. I think I've seen a couple of pictures in my little bit of research that I did that shows Zimmerit coating actually below the fender line also, but I don't really care. To be honest. So there's the back. I did a lot more patchwork, obviously, rather than making sure it's covering absolute everything. I kind of want this tank to be looking like, it's been damaged and maybe knocked out and is no longer functional, and maybe hasn't been functioning for a while. That's kind of the direction I'm going with on this. Also, what I did was I glued the wheels together. Okay, so if we take this and we just kind of throw this on here like that, kind of goes on, and we've got our first two rows of wheels. Okay, then we've got the idler that's going to go here, and our sprocket, this guy, he's going to go in there. Okay, and then we've got another set of wheels that are going to be going on here. But I've got this first set together because it just simplifies things a little bit. It's going to be easier to take off, to put on as one big assembly. I could even, get them assembled and take the tracks and go, hey, let's put this section of track on there and glue it on there when it's ready, and I don't have to worry about it, wheels rolling around, because they're all glued together as one piece. Everything is nice and straight and perfect, and I don't have to worry about alignment at all. And yeah, that's something I saw Martin on his Night Shift channel on YouTube, when with his Tiger that he built, he did the exact same thing. Glued the first two rows of wheels together. Now all I did was just used, let's see, all I did was just, there's about a millimeter gap in between these wheels, and so I used some thicker crazy glue or CA glue. So each wheel basically has, well, at least 2 points where it's glued. So this wheel here has a point there it's glued, and a point there. Okay, of course the wheel next to it is glued there, and on the other side, and on this side. So he's actually gets 4 points. So these three wheels, they get 4 points of glue, and these inner one, I guess they do too. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you go. But when it's all put together, you're not going to see that at all. Especially this side is going against the hull like this. Okay, so if you really want to pay attention and you really want to scrutinize it, I guess you could say, yeah, I can see that's glued there and there, in those little axles, right? I can tell the wheel's glued. But you know what? Here's what's going to happen. Even though you could see that's glued there by looking at that angle, there's going to be mud on this. And the mud, it's just going to look like the mud's caked there. Once this is painted and I've got weathering on it and I've got some mud effects on there, and you're not going to see it. Plus, there's a possibility that when I put the track on, with the track on there, you're not really going to be paying attention to that little section there. That's, yeah. So, it's just it'll just be our secret, right? That's glued together. And so, yeah, so there's the other side there, the other set. So that's those. Now it's crazy glue, so you do want to be a little bit careful. It doesn't have the flex that normal modeling glue does. So, yeah, so that's that. Which leads to what's next. Well, I should show you also, I got some Zimmerit on our front plate here. But we have to do Zimmerit on the turret, on the vertical sides of the turret, as you can see on the picture here. So that's actually what I want to do today, is I want to get the turret assembled. Because before I actually apply the Zimmerit to the turret, I've already taken the liberty of taking this off the sprue. Before I actually put the Zimmerit on the turret, I want to do a coating of some putty to give it some texture, like I think it's rolled steel is what the texture is mimicking. And so that's something that I probably could have done on the hull as well, along the sides. I could have done that along here, give it a bit of a texture to it, same with the back, to give it that rolled steel look. And so I want to do that and then put the Zimmerit over that. So that's why I want to get the turret assembled, even though it's not next in our order of operations as far as assembly goes. The basic next step is putting on the exhaust and the rear fenders, and putting the top of the hull down to the lower hull, all the caps and all the kibble and bits that goes on top of it. That's actually next, but I want to work on the turret today. I want to get this thing put together, at least get it assembled, so I can get to work on putting the coatings on it that I want to do. So obviously we have our two halves, but we need to assemble the actual gun part first. Now that I actually think about it, I should put the Zimmerit on this first, so that it'll be easier to work with than having it already glued on here, right? So maybe I'll do that first. Okay, so I'm going to put, well, let's just get our three pieces together first. This is C14. And there's a note on here to open this second hole. There's two holes. Instead of one, there's two. So there's this one. I don't know why they've done that, but that's easy enough to do. That drill bit is too big, so let's find a bit that fits. I need to work on that bit. Let's find a bit that fits. A little bit better. Too small. Maybe this one or that one. Let's see here. You are good size. You're just a hair too big. Okay. So we have a winner. Drill out the second hole. I know somebody out there is going to know why there's a second hole option. It's going to be, oh, that's because it's the later version or the early version or something like that. As I've learned, Germans kind of did different things to these tigers as, you know, from between 41 and 44. Okay, so I need C1. It's off of this seam sprue. I did buy myself a new pair of nippers. I've been using these things for a while now, a couple of years, and I find that these things, although they feel nice and sharp, when I cut the sprue, when I cut this plastic, hear that snap? Really all this is doing is just squeezing the plastic until eventually the plastic breaks under the pressure. That's really all this thing is doing. And I didn't like that. I wanted one that's going to cut it just like my expensive little God hand nippers do, which cuts through those things like butter, but because they're small and a little delicate, cutting the big thick sprue is not the best thing to do with these. So I wanted another kind of utility thing, so I picked these up. These are the Tamiya 123, I think was the number. Just very simple, and this first time use, you guys get to see what this is going to be like the first time. Nice and silent, and it cut it a lot cleaner, a heck of a lot cleaner, and I like that. So it's nice, just does a nice cleaner job than those other ones, which these ones were actually part of a little hobbying kit I bought on Amazon for like $15, which came with these and a couple of different types of tweezers and sanding sticks, little things like that, just in this little plastic case. And so yeah, these are just cheap, but they're, well, they did their purpose. They worked okay. They did their job. But these obviously much better. These cost me about $40 at the hobby store. And so just on that very first cuts I just did now, I feel like $40, good investment. Definitely an improvement, and I think it's worth it. And if I get 2 years use out of those, I'm good. Okay, so first of all, we got to take this one. I want to turn this down a little bit. Okay. So this goes in here and fills that in like that. Okay. Let's get some glue here. Let's see here. Okay, it's kind of redundant. This is never going to be seen, so why do I need to put that piece on the inside? I don't know. And then we got this guy. This guy's going to go in and kind of mate up somewhere. Oh no, I got it raised the wrong way, like this. just like that. Okay. Definitely adding to the bulkiness of this piece. Okay, so I got those put together. Now I'm gonna make a little bit of zimmerit just to go on the front face here in a couple of spots. Okay, and I don't want it, I've already got a couple of pieces, a couple little strips that I've cut out, and I just haven't mixed it up yet. I don't want it completely covered. I want it kind of just like the other parts that I've got, the other parts of the tank, where some is flaked off. Maybe there's a bullet, maybe it took a piece of shrapnel and got a hit and busted off a piece, a chunk, that kind of thing. That's what I want to go for. So I'm actually going to cut these into a little bit of a smaller strip each, and let's just do this, because you know it goes a long way. A little goes a long way with this technique of really flattening it out really small or really thin. It goes a long way. It just goes a long way. Of course, getting this plastic off can be a bit of a challenge, especially on the yellow one. The yellow one seems to be stickier, even just by itself. And of course, I just don't want to grab it. There. Okay. So to make my life a little bit easier, I've already got a toothpick out ready, and I got my little dish of water, so I'm good to go. Wet my fingers a little bit so that they don't stick to me, because that's a pain in the neck. I'm going to need my tiny little bit of dough. A little more water. Now, that's pretty good. Kind of roll it out into kind of a noodle and then fold it over and just do that a few times. That works out pretty good for mixing this stuff up. Pretty good. So, now, I'm going to roll out a big, nice little noodle here. Okay? Now my fingers are sticky, I don't like that. But that's kind of the nature of this. And that's what I get for not wearing gloves. If you don't want sticky fingers, wear gloves. If you don't care, then don't wear them. Okay, so I have my little zimmerit tool, and I've got another one here for where I can't to get into the tighter spaces, and that will help me out a lot. So I get just a little tiny bit. It's all I need. I'm going to put that on here. Toothpick in the water to deter it from sticking to the toothpick, and roll it out really thin. You see what I mean by it going a little, going a long way? That tiny little bit that I put on here. thing you want to be careful, don't let it accumulate into the corners. One thing I did discover when I was putting it on the sides, if you get the actual part a little too wet, it starts not wanting to stick to the part. Okay, so now I'm just going to roll this over a little bit here. The nice thing about this stuff is you can work with it for quite a while before it hardens. Even when you're done and you're thinking, okay, I'm done, I'm going to come back to it 10 minutes from now, it's still not completely hard. Okay, so wet my little tool and just straight up and down. Now obviously I can't get into the corners with this, and that's where this one comes in. I'm going to take my glasses off because I'm going to look in real close here. And see, just using the tool, even doing that, presses it out a little bit more. So I'm going to put a little bit, any that gets pressed out, I'm going to put it on the side. And sometimes you get some in the teeth like that, and you got to clean that out. Even though I've put water on it, it's still easy to accidentally get it into the teeth. Okay. Alright, maybe a little bit more in that spot. Let's put it here. This is where a little too much water has come into play. So I'm just going to dab it with my paper towel just to get rid of some of the water. So I got a little bit too much, it's a little too thick. And as I try to roll it out, it's wanting to stick to my toothpick instead of the plastic. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So, as I said, I don't want to cover everything. I want it to look like it's been, some chunks have been taken off, it's missing. So, we'll continue over on this side. I want to do a little bit more over around here than I do here, right? So it looks a little, you know, I'm going for pretty good coverage, but not 100%. I forgot to change the camera for you guys. Sorry about that. There we go. Obviously, if you get any in this hole, you want to clean it out. I'm kind of anticipating that anyway, so if I could get just one more tiny little piece, I'd be happy. Put right in there. See, now that's terrible. There, I think I've got enough variation to get along pretty good here. I find sometimes my wheel doesn't really want to roll, and I kind of have to help it along. Go. Now to get in these little tighter spots. find one that's a little narrower but has the same pattern. I don't have it. Okay. Okay, I think that's good enough. I think I'm happy with that. Let's see if I can show you guys a little bit better detail. If we can get it to focus. Here, focus please. There we go. That's kind of what I'm going for. Now this part over here that's kind of squiggly, I want to fix that a little bit. It shouldn't be squiggly. And the nice thing about this is you can, as long as you have this thing wet, you can kind of keep going over it and reapplying and redoing your patterns if you're not happy. So there we go. Okay. So as you guys can see, even though I took such a tiny little amount, in the end I still have all this left over. It really goes a long way. Just going to clean out the teeth of my little tool. So the last thing I want to do is get putty stuck in the teeth and hardened. And one thing I noticed, now of course you guys who watch my channel, you know this is the first time I've ever used the Zimmerit type thing. First time I've ever used these tools. And as I started with this, I realized, oh, I've got like all these tools that came in the kit. Okay, now I just used these two. Now these have the same width, and then we've got a narrower one, skinnier, okay, and this one's another wheel, but it's a little skinnier wheel than that one. But I also noticed the pattern on these skinnier ones, there's 3 of them, the patterns on these are smaller as well. So this might be good, like these two are probably good for the 1/35 scale tanks, and these are probably good for the, oh, what's the smaller scale? Is it, I think you can get 1/48 tanks, and yeah, these were probably a little bit better for scale on those ones. Anyway, I just gotta clean out my, gotta clean my teeth. Okay, that's that. Now, I've got my little noodle here that I don't need now, because I'm not going to get to this for a while, because we're going to assemble the rest of this. So I can just leave this like this now, and let's move on. So we're going to have to assemble the parts that go into the back of this, and so let's see what we got. We need the A tree. A. Okay, so we need a 12, 15, and 14. Well, there's 14 and 15. Whoa! I need A12, which is this guy here. And then I need A40 and 42. These two guys here. Okay. Let's change camera back. A little bit of flashing on this piece, which is actually unusual for a Tamiya kit. Okay, so I put my glasses back on. These two are going to go together. And we're going like this. Okay, glue. Okay, and now we're going to take these guys, and these guys go in like this. It gets lined up there, and we get a little pin for the hole to go in, and it's going to sit just like that. Or is it? Okay. Doesn't really want to sit on that pin properly. There we go. And that would be why I'm trying to put the wrong one on, the wrong side. So lesson learned, there is a left and a right. And that one fits in just perfectly on that side. So there we go. Okay. And now we've put our little breech on. Two little pegs, fit in two little holes just like that. Just like that, and that's done. Okay. And then this goes in here. Now one side is flat, so it's shaped like a D. Not that kind of D, but you know, it's shaped like a D, and it just barely fits in there. So I'm sure with a little bit of glue and a little bit of pressure, it'll fit in there just like it's supposed to. Yep. Push down till it's seated. There you go. And all that assembled without disturbing the Zimrit. Which I realize now I've got a little bit extra here. I can wait till it's actually dry to clean off any excess on the sides. It's up to you. Really doesn't matter too much. But yeah. Okay, so there's that. We have our 2 holes drilled through, and I can see right through. Even though I've got 3 plates, they've got the holes going all the way through them. So you can actually see through those holes. See in there. Not that you really need to, but you can. Okay, so now what we do is we take this and our 2 halves. Our 2 pegs are going to go in there. So this might be a little bit of a special little game to glue these together. I do not know if Tamiya has these intended to have this actually movable at the end of the day. So, glued in now, line these up. I'm just going to spread it apart a little bit, but that's alright. It's actually a very tight fit. So, let's undo that. And now, put it back together. It's a very tight fit. That's alright. So now that's together, I'm going to use my thin glue just to make sure the back here, it's all nice and together and it's all happy. So it looks like I'm going to have a little bit of movement on my turret up and down when it's all said and done. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And I like that. So next we've got a couple of little plates that are going to go in under here. And of course we have our little hatch cover. But the hatch cover does not involve any of the texture that I want to add. And so I am not going to worry about that. Not yet. As far as what needs to be assembled, on the turret, for me, for what I want to do, I'm done. The next step is to put some texture on this, okay? And that doesn't require any of these instructions. That's going to take a little dish. Oops. Guess I don't need that in there. A little lid, some Tamiya putty, and some glue, and a brush that I'm willing to destroy. because that's really what's going to happen. So let's get out my spare brushes. Where are they? Here. They're here somewhere. There they are. Got these on Amazon for pretty cheap, and well, they are cheap, but they'll do the job, so I don't care about destroying the bristles. So what I'm going to do is take some of this Tamiya putty, put a little bit in there, and I'm going to mix it with some of this Mr. Cement S. Okay, why did I have cement this one? Well, because that's what my buddy Night Shift does. It's not my buddy, but that's how he makes it. So could I use this? Could I have used this, the regular Tamiya? Probably, but why not? This seems to be a little bit thinner. It's almost like the Tamiya thin, except the thin that I have is the quick set, and we don't want that. We don't want quick set right now. We want it to be a little bit slow, and so that we can keep working with it and apply it on here. Now what I actually don't want is I don't want it square. If I had a brush that was narrow that I could ruin, I would, but I don't. So what I'm going to do is kind of do this. And turn this into a different shaped brush. Okay, now it's a little bit more of a cone shape, not much, but a little bit. Okay, so we're going to take some of this, squeeze this out here. It's probably more than I need, or it might be the right amount. Now, I don't want to drop it in with this brush, so I'm just going to put this aside. And the opening here is too small for this, but oh no, it's fine. And we're going to apply it in here. So we want to get this textured up. Of course, before this Tamiya putty, it dries pretty quick, right? As we all know. But what we're doing is we're making a bit of a mud, and that's what we want to do. And we're going to kind of stipple it on here a little bit, like this, and make a bit of a mess. But that's perfectly fine. And this is going to add texture and make it look like much thicker, heavier steel. And this is something that would have been nice if they had molded it like this, because this is really the way it's supposed to look. Here, I was pressing my finger into the Zimmerit there. Let's get my Zimmerit tool out again and make sure kind of sucks doing having to fix a project one side because it was focused on another one. Okay, now that's fixed. I putty on my thumb because I'd actually pressed into it. Okay, back to our putty before it hardens too much. I want to go around this kind of bolt looking thing, but not actually touch it, which I just did. So right when I say that I don't want to touch it, I touch it. Now this stuff does, because we're using glue, it does kind of eat into the plastic a little bit, but not too much, because we're actually adding to it. So if you get to a point where you need to sand it, you can. It's not a big deal. In fact, that's what Night Shift does. He adds this in layers, makes like 2 or 3, and now for my purpose, a smaller, more precise brush may have been better, may have been a better idea. But that's okay. You don't want to have brush strokes. At the end of the day, when you're doing this, you don't want to have brush strokes. So I'm going to show you. Sorry again. A little more glue, a little more putty. You don't want to be doing this. You don't want to be brushing it on. You want to stipple it. Brushing is okay to get it on there, but you want to stipple it before it dries, before it hardens. That's the texture you want, is the stippled effect. I need to brush it to get into these little cracks around the bolt, but before it dries I'm going to stipple it like this so I hide my brush strokes from applying it in there. And up here at the front I don't want to do it so thick that I hide the detail. More. It's kind of neat that the glue almost reactivates it. And you see, along this side I went way too heavy with it. This side looks a lot better, although I can see some of my brush strokes because I didn't do enough stippling. So that's why applying more than one coat is good. You can go in again and fix it. This side's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way this looks on this side. This side, however, looks like I've got, because I wound up having to fix the Zimmerit because I went and touched it. This side kind of clumped up. And you see it's already dry to the touch. Now, these clumps that are under here, they're actually going to be hidden by the tracks. There's track pieces that are going to go on the sides where those holes are. And so that's kind of, well, it's kind of alright. It's a mistake that's not that bad. Okay, so I'm going to put my lid back on there so I don't ruin my glue. And we can save that for next time. But that's it. So if I get this up close, maybe it'll zoom in, maybe it'll focus for you. I don't know, it might. There we go. So you see, it looks like crap, right? This side looks better. But a lot of this stuff in here is going to be hidden. A lot of that's going to be hidden. Come on, camera. A lot of this stuff is going to be hidden by the tracks, and so it's alright. Plus I need to add damage to this, like it's been hit with a bullet or 2 or 5, and yeah, so that's what I wanted to do to this, and that's what I wanted to get done today. Let's make sure all my things are closed tight. Yeah, so that's that. Now this brush, of course, is garbage. This thing ain't gonna get, it's not useful for anything now. And the stuff in here at the bottom, I might as well clean up as I can. And yeah, let's get rid of that now. And put that away. And that's that. So, with that being said, I think that's it for today. I realized I used the wrong tool for redoing my Zimmerit. Again, that's a really nice thing about this putty is you can still work with it later afterwards, even for what's it been, 20 minutes, and I still can get in there and clean up those grooves. It's pretty good. And this is the green one, the Tamiya quick type. quick type. What? I'd hate to see the regular type and how long it takes to dry or cure. So yeah, so before I do anything else with this, I want to kind of leave this overnight, and yeah, just leave it overnight and let that cure, and let this cure properly so it's nice and rock hard next time I go to do something with it. So that's that. And with that, I'm going to end this video. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for coming out. You guys who subscribe to me on YouTube, thank you very much. And if you like this stuff, hit the like button down there. And if you haven't already, why not subscribe? I believe the button's over there now. Doesn't do much for you, but it helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, so with that, guys, I'm going to end it there and call it a day. And yeah, thanks again. And, well, I might have time to do some more tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. And, but until then, we'll see you all in the next one.